systems where the police department has a constant feed. So the police department, when there's a health and safety emergency, not only wants to go in and look at the live feed, but they also want to look at records of events leading up to the feed. And previously, the technology was such that the police department was constantly monitoring the district's cameras. So they were constantly recording and rewriting over a recording that was maintained by the police department. And that raised the concern that that was in fact a district record being maintained by the police department. Chief Cameron clarified with regard to this system. It is through internet protocol cameras that the events, either a rave or save notification by the district to the police department, provides the access to the police department, and they log in directly at that point. So those two, the rave and save notifications, provides the basis for determination that there's an imminent health and safety risk, and then the police will go in, access the system, and then use their system to go back into the district records to review the footage leading up to the event. So it's, in my opinion, that technology and that method and that implementation addresses my concerns. And it would be my recommendation to dovetail any approval by this with a review of the district's student records policies. So it's clear that upon activation of either of those two systems, there has been a determination that a imminent health and safety risk is present, and police access to the system is justified and authorized under FERPA.
And if I'm understanding what you've said to us, there were several criteria that you would look at to determine whether or not the outside parties providing a service that we otherwise would provide.
Right.
But I'm going down to the third one, and it's making reference to the outside party, which I think in this case would be the Suffolk County Police Department.
Correct.
It's an agent under direct control of the educational agency, that's us. With respect to the use and maintenance of information from the educational records. As this memorandum of agreement is written, do you think that that protects us under that category?
So the exception that exists under FERPA for a vendor, vendors can access district records if they have an educational interest and they're essentially an arm of the district. That would not apply in this situation. The records may only be accessed based on the exception under FERPA because there's a health and safety risk. So you must establish that there's been an imminent health and safety risk at the time prior to allowing the police to access your system. And the method, my recommendation is that these indications, whether it's the Rave or Save, Rave app or the Save phone, that there be by policy a statement that those notifications to the police are only in the situations where there is an imminent health and safety risk to students, staff, and visitors. And therefore, by policy, that has been established. And I think my recommendation would also be that it's clear that if anyone who is accessing either the Rave app or the Save phone must meet that requirement before they make that notification to the police. And so by policy, you would have established, being the policy prerequisite for FERPA, release of student information.
So you're comfortable with the language that it protects the student information?
Yes.
You're recommending that we have policy reviewed in order to limit the criteria for notifying the police that would trigger this system. And then as written, the agreement that's been presented appears okay?
Correct. Now, so the contract specifically incorporates the FERPA standard, but it does so for 911 calls. And Chief Cameron is clearly more in favor of the Rave and Save app being used than the 911 call, because the 911 call would have to be screened by the callers to make a determination that it's either the superintendent or designee, and that they're making that determination. So that is, in terms of the communication process, less favored by the police department than either the app or the Save phone.
So the board, it sounds like the board maybe should wait on acting on this until we have the policy in place as well.
That would be my recommendation.
All right. Okay. I think we've got consensus on that, so,
So to get the consensus,
we
the
need-
MOU is acceptable, provided the policy is in place.
right.
Well, I have a question as to training. Do they notify the district before or do they ask for permission to access the
So
system?
I did have a discussion about the training, and according to Chief Cameron, the training is only done with the district's cooperation and notification. So the contract states that the training will not be done when any student is present. Chief Cameron went beyond that and said, as a matter of police department policy, that's only done, it's prior notification, because both the district and the police have to be aware of the training scenarios, and training's very involved, and they can only do it with the district's cooperation.
And would training give them access to recorded footage, pre-recorded footage?
It would not include student footage.
Good point.
So we need a motion?
No,
we don't, we're just gonna,
Discussion.
put this- okay.
We have direction. We need to do some more work in terms of policy development before we bring it back to the board. The only, and council will help me with language with regard to their policy. I don't know if we have any existing policy that may be modified.
You have an existing policy which we will modify.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. The next item for discussion is the district safety plan. The district safety plan is reviewed annually by the board's advisory committee for health and safety, who reviews and recommends updates to the plan as needed. We've added South Haven to the plan and do expect additional revisions once we receive some guidance from SED regarding school resource officers. Rather than waiting any longer for the SED guidance on SROs, I asked the board to adopt the plan as written, and we'll bring back any revisions needed as a result of that guidance. As I mentioned, this policy has not changed other than the mention of South Haven in there. Administration recommends approval of this plan, as I mentioned, which includes South Haven.
And you'd like a motion for
And I'd
that?
like a motion.
Okay, then is there a motion to approve this district safety plan as described by Dr. Chiani, Mr. Puccini? Mr. Nix, second. All in favor?
Discussion.
Question?
Yeah, I do have
Oh,
discussion.
hold on, discussion. Sorry, discussion.
I think I noticed an error on page 20. I'll just flip it again.
20,
Do we have the wrong, it's under the section on Belport Middle School?
I have to pull it up. I do not have it. Just bear with me.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
The bus company info?
Where am I looking, page?
Page
Yeah, you gotta
20
use that- you
under
gotta use that bus
Belport
company.
Middle School.
So with that amendment of the change in the bus company, recommend approval with the amendment. Change.
Okay, so the motion is to approve the district safety plan with the amendment with reference to the bus company,
To correct it.
to correct it. Okay. Do I need a motion again, or are we
Somebody's got to
going?
pull back, right? How does that
So
go?
I'll withdraw my motion.
You withdrew your motion. We're starting from scratch.
Before we go, I just wanted to know, on page 16, it mentions drills, like take cover, in-building shelter in place, and off-campus shelter sites. Do all buildings conduct those drills?
Yes. All alternate sites are not done annually, but they are done.
Is there a motion to approve the district safety plan with the correction for the bus company? That will be by Mr. Pacini and Mr. Trent, second. Any further discussion? None, seeing none, all in favor? It's unanimously approved. Okay.
And now we move to curriculum.
Yes.
Administration recommends approval of curriculum items reflected in Schedule G1 and 2.
Need a motion then to grant approval of items G1 and G2. Mr. Nix, Mr. Trent, second. Any discussion? All in favor? It's unanimous.
And moving to personnel, administration recommends approval of personnel changes reflected in Schedules H1 through H9.
Is there a motion to approve items H1 through H9? Mr. Nix made the motion, Mr. Trent seconded. Any discussion? All in favor? Again, unanimously approved.
And moving to business items, administration recommends approval of business items reflected in Schedules I1 through I12.
A motion, I need a motion to approve business items I1 through I12. Mr. Nix, Mr. Santos, second. Any discussion? Yes.
Thrilled to see the grant amount from the South Country Education Foundation, over $55,000 for this school year, so very grateful to that organization.
And I was going to comment on that too, and I particularly want to because the new president of the South Country Education Foundation is here. Just reading that exhaustive list of grants, I thought this was something I was going to be able to read very quickly when I saw that it was added to the agenda, and it went on and on and on with regard to what they were giving us. Let's approve all of this, and then we can maybe have some more discussion about how grateful we are to the Education Foundation for the things that they're offering to our students. Was that Mr. Parker making a motion?
Yes.
Okay. And this is for, let's see, that was I1 through 12. Mr. Parker made the motion, Mr. Trent seconded. All in favor? It's unanimous. And before we go on to the public commentary, I wondered, it's out of order, but I'm going to do it because I'm sitting here. And Mrs. Rowe, would you like to make a comment about what the Education Foundation has been able to do, and just know that we're sitting up here amazed at the extensive opportunities that are being offered this
The
time.
opportunities are a result of very excited teachers who submit grants to us, and we approve them. Usually we like to see field trips. We like to see as many kids involved as possible. Programs that enrich classrooms, one very good program this year. Actually, it's the second year. It's number 12 and 13, which is a microloan program for all ninth graders in social studies, world history. Give small loans. We are the bank. They give out the loans, and over the course of several years, the loans will get repaid, and they become their own bank. It looks like we've been funding them for another year or two. But that's one of the most exciting programs I've seen in a number of years. We've gone down to one grant cycle now instead of two, because we found teachers couldn't. The winter grant cycle often didn't get finished till the next year, presenting a little bit of a bookkeeping problem for us. So we put out the grants in August, and you'll be happy to know teachers are working starting August 1, filling out grant applications. And it's the most rewarding work I've ever done. And we have a 12-member board of people who feel the same way that I do.
Thank you for that. Yeah, we are now up to public comment again, and this is for non-agenda items. A reminder, if you want to speak, you need to let the clerk know and fill out a yellow form.
Talk about an issue in the building, I think it's field trips.
Well,
Happy
with
to
the
talk
field
about
trips,
that.
we couldn't get an answer.
I just want to interject,
Yes, ma'am.
because I'm the one who's supposed to be explaining what the purpose of the commentary is, and I'm the one that failed to specifically say, we don't discuss individual staff members or
Okay,
students.
and I apologize.
And
This is my
so-
first meeting. I'm very nervous.
So now we've got
I'm a
that.
public speaker sometimes.
So we've got that
Okay.
out of the way.
Out of the
I'm
way.
sorry, I
understand.
didn't do that ahead of time so that we wouldn't have gotten in the
Yes,
midst
ma'am, I
of this.
understand. And I apologize for not knowing the rules.
So let's go back to your concerns
My
about
concern
is it
The trips, okay, this trip, I understand now, we got a reactionary email to an incident that came up. Of course, it came up on social media. Everybody's on it now. We're all friends with teachers, staff, people that have been on these trips. These trips have been going on for how many years? Now, all of a sudden, out of the blue, there's an internal audit that nobody knows about, and now all of a sudden these trips are done. No explanation to the parents, no explanation to the kids. When we bring it up and we ask what's being done, and there's certain steps, we're just told, read the email. Well, the email doesn't explain it. You know, I understand it's an internal investigation or audit. Well, it's our money. We paid the money. It's not school budget money. What's going on? That's what we would like to know. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's see, Jamie, is that Nessie or Nisi?
Easy.
Nisi.
Good evening, board members, parents, teachers. I'm talking about the same issue. I have an 8th grader. And my main concern, and I think everybody's here, is the students. That's all we care about, the students and how they're feeling. And they're very upset, very upset. I've had students, friends of my son, they're crying over this. And they're just confused, and I think they just need some answers from the administration. And as parents, we're confused. We had gotten a letter, and I have to say it was a little confusing, the letter, because we didn't even know an audit was going on. We don't know the results of the audit. We don't know why the trip was flagged. We know this trip has been going on for a long time. The kids look forward to it. They've been talking about this trip since 6th grade. And truthfully, trips are not just, they're social and emotional growth for these children, which is so important for our students. They work so hard on academics all year. And this is something they really look forward to. And this is not just going on a trip and, going out to eat. They're doing educational things on this trip that they're gonna remember for a lifetime. I talked to seniors that have graduated, and they told me, I remember that trip, and we did this, and we did that. And they build relationships with their teachers and other children. And I just think if it's going to be canceled, and I know things happen, can maybe, something else be presented for the students? Another trip maybe? Or something. Even as parents, we'll get together and help. We'll fundraise if it's money. We're there. We want to help. Remember that we're here to work as a team. We don't want to argue with anybody. We don't want to, we want to work as a team because our ultimate goal is these children. And so many of them, they're in school and they're signing petitions right now. And they feel helpless, and they don't understand why. They think they did something wrong. That's why their trip is being canceled. So we keep saying to them, no, it's not you. It's adult stuff and business, but they don't understand. They want, maybe it's like, the administration had like an assembly with the 8th graders and just explain to them, we're not completely canceling your trip. We're gonna do something for you guys, but we're working on it. And I know the other 6th and 7th graders are going on a trip, so they hear that and they're like, why are they going? Just as parents, we really, that's why we're just concerned about the students.
Let me say one other thing about
Sure.
public commentary. It is not intended to be a conversation between
Oh,
you,
okay.
the speaker,
Okay,
and us, the board,
yes,
but
okay.
I'm making an exception here. There seems to have been a reading of the letter that was not intended,
Okay.
and so there seems to be a lot of misinformation. It's not saying that there's gonna be nothing for 8th graders.
Okay.
Let me make that clear.
I'm so glad you
And-
said that,
okay.
thank you. Thank
So
you
let's
much.
get that out
Okay, that
and
makes
make
me
that
feel
absolutely clear.
Much better.
In terms of exactly what it will be, because of a number of circumstances that we can't discuss in public tonight,
Yeah, of course.
there's a need to reevaluate, and we're actually looking at it as an opportunity to look at things with fresh eyes and say, what else can we come up with? Are there alternatives? Sometimes you can do better.
And that is exactly what we
And that's
needed, thank you for
actually
saying that.
the feeling that has come out of, you heard earlier, we talked about the advisory committee meetings that we all sit on or attend. I went to the teaching and learning ones, and the issue of field trips across the board came up. And the vibrance in that room would have made you feel really good if you could have been a bug on the wall. So, I hope that helps a little bit, and that you can go back and explain to your child and your child's friends that, no, administration is looking into something that's going to be, we don't know what it'll be yet,
Okay,
but
great.
there'll be something.
There'll be something, and I think that will be very helpful. I think the students, that'll put them at a little more ease, because they think they did something wrong.
Okay, so no more back and forth, because I'm not supposed to do that. We'll have Bella Rupola.
She has a leader.
Oh, okay. And Kevin Edwards?
Hi, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'm here in regards to, as you saw the memos concerning Junior National Honor Society. And Junior National Honor Society holds in the values of scholarship, service, leadership, character, and citizenship, things that our top 10% like to take forward. And we try to promote those ideas because they are the brain trust, they are our future. And what often happens at times is we kind of look not in that direction for help and guidance. And in this situation, which it quickly arose, and I'm glad it's a topic of discussion right now, this brain trust needs to be tapped. In their commitment to the Junior National Honor Society, they also have ideas of community service, and also within their leadership skills, ideas of fundraising. I don't see why this seems strange. I know there are rules and regulations concerning fundraising, but it hasn't stopped this district from overcoming adversity such as this, especially when we were on austerity with sports and other things of the like. I don't know the particulars behind the reasons for this trip to have been canceled. I'd like to know more because I personally work in a district where we send over 700 students to DC every year, and we don't have any problems. So if it's also an ability of the administration to reach out to other districts to see how they overcome certain steps of adversity. We're one community, and not giving students the opportunity to travel, because travel is your best education, and these are the learning stages, and these are the things that they're going to take with them for the rest of their lives. You're shortchanging these students. You're taking an opportunity away from them for a lot of personal growth that will also help these future leaders learn and carry this forward and hopefully pay it forward.
Thank you very much.
Can I ask the district you're from, sir? You said your district? Belmont?
Longwood.
Longwood.
Can I just make a comment, ask a question maybe? I think there's a lot of confusion about the narrative and why this trip is in limbo. And I think there's a thought process out there that one of the reasons it's in limbo is because not everybody can afford to go. And there's talk of fundraising efforts, and I believe the gentleman just up, Mr. Edwards, alluded to that as well. I think it's really incumbent on us to let the community know that that is not why this trip is in limbo right now. It has that topic comes up every couple of years about this trip in Frost Valley, because there are some that can't afford it. That's true. There have been PTAs who've sponsored kids. The district cannot launch a fundraising initiative, but that's semantics that can be addressed somewhere else. But I think it's fair to say that this trip is not in limbo because of an equity issue that's being discussed in the community and on social media. I hope that clears up some, because I believe that was the concern that you had. And
That's one of the concerns, but.
I know it's more than that, but.
I didn't want to address the other possible concerns.
Understood. I felt it's really important for everybody that's here and everybody at home to hear that that's not the issue. That's not why the trip is in limbo. Am I wrong to say
No,
that?
that's a correct statement.
Thank you.
Okay, I think that's it. Closing remarks by board members. Should I consider that a closing remark from you?
Yes,
or
you can,
do
because
you have
it's getting
a-
late.
Do you want to tack on to it?
No, I've drank about 2 gallons of water tonight, so let's
All
go.
right, how about Ms. Aruda? Ms. DeSanto?
Everyone get home safe and the wet road.
Okay, Ms. Carly? Okay. Mr. Trent?
Nothing.
Mr. Parker? Mr. Nix?
Just some quick thank yous. Thank you to Donors Choose and those individuals making donations in support of a classroom project from Ms. Kelvin's class at Franklin E. Long Intermediate School. And thank you again to South Country Education Foundation for their generous donation, awarding $55,683.08 in grants for the school year. Your support is above and beyond and very much appreciated. Thank you, Ms. Brown.
And I'd like to add to that, some of the things too that the South Country Education Foundation funded, these are really innovative and exciting things. And you know, you mentioned the micro grants, and I'd like to learn more about that later. But I don't want to have everybody here. I want to get a motion to adjourn. Mr. Nix, Mr. Trent, and all in favor? Okay. Thank you very much. Let me just pull this thing out without hurting.